When the Supreme Court made their devastating, and I would argue from my very lay opinion, deeply flawed ruling that individuals could not get a nationwide injunction against the illegal things that the Trump regime is trying to do, folks were melting down all over social media. Obviously, we have a right to have an emotional reaction, right? We have a right to be very worried and concerned, but folks were basically making it sound like it was the apocalypse. It was the end of everything. The birthright citizenship was over in this country. And I got really mad with watching creators online who were not attorneys basically claiming that the SCOTUS ruling destroyed birthright citizenship. I, as an entirely lay person, could read the ruling and read, breakdowns from attorneys on Blue Sky. I could listen to attorneys like Harry Litman from the Talking Feds and very quickly understand that that ruling was not actually about birthright citizenship at all. It was about whether individuals were able to get a nationwide injunction. And I know I said this in my previous video, but I really appreciated how Harry Litman was saying that there are positive and negative implications of this ruling, because you don't want an individual to go judge shopping for a judge that's very friendly to their fringe, extreme conservative position and get a nationwide injunction against mifepristone. Remember when that happened in Texas? Where one individual could just shut something down entirely. And what we learned out of that ruling was that, as disappointing as it was, the reaction all over social media that was extremely incorrect, and I would argue that creators were irresponsible in making the claim that it functionally ended birthright citizenship and birthright citizenship is over as we knew it. No, I wish people had talked about how there were still multiple avenues to protect our constitutional right to birthright citizenship in this country. And lo and behold, just a few days later, y'all, a Bush-appointed judge has protected birthright citizenship for all. There is now a nationwide injunction, because do you know what that SCOTUS ruling said? It said an individual can't get a nationwide injunction, but you could file a class action lawsuit, or alternately, states could bring a lawsuit. State attorneys general could get together and bring a lawsuit. But what we have found here is that, by the way, I'm going to reference a piece from Slate. You should go read it. Subscribe to them if you don't. They've had a lot of good journalism lately. It's called How a Bush-Appointed Judge Got Around SCOTUS to Protect Birthright Citizenship for All. And we saw in this initial ruling that the dissenting, I think it was Justice Sotomayor, gave this opening of okay, guys, there's other avenues for you to get relief in this instance. And bam, Norm Eisen and Democracy Forward were let's do it. We're going to file as a class. We're going to lay out a class action lawsuit. And in just a few short days, we now have federal protection again against Trump trying to erode birthright citizenship. By the way, this has not stopped Donald Trump from deporting U.S. citizens who are children. I should not say deport. We don't deport U.S. citizens. What they're doing is they are exiling American citizens from this country. They are violating their constitutional rights without due process, without any legal reason. They are kicking children out of this country who are American citizens because their parents are undocumented. It is a clear, egregious violation of their constitutional rights. And yet the Trump regime is getting away with it because they're little brown kids. They're American citizens, but they're little brown kids. And for some reason, it's not getting nearly as much press as it should. So this ruling is really important, but let's not forget, they are kicking kids out of this country, and they're not even attempting to strip away their citizenship. They're just doing it anyway. In fact, there's a breaking story today. My Congresswoman, Maxine Dexter, was up at the detention facility, I think in Tacoma, this past week, because there is a family from Portland, Oregon that is being held in detention, and 4 of the members of that family are American citizens. They are minor children. They are being held in an immigration detention facility. And I would like to cover this story more in detail. It's just breaking today from OPB, and I want to wait till there's a little bit more details. But those children are American citizens, and they're sitting in a detention facility. I guarantee you ICE is going to try and kick these kids out of this country because they have already done it to many other children, including children who are American citizens with cancer. There's a 10-year-old girl in Texas at the beginning of the year that they booted out of this country who is undergoing cancer treatment because her parent, at least one of her parents, is not able at this point in time to have obtained legal resident status. So I realize that I'm kind of twisting my 2 points together here. So let me lay it out very clearly. When you hear a bad piece of news, This regime wants you to believe that they have already won, that they are inevitable. When you hear that they have done something bad or they are trying to do something bad, they want you to believe that they will get away with it and you cannot stop them, that you are powerless, you are defenseless. They are inevitable. Their terrible plans are going to come to fruition. You might as well just give up. Nothing you can do. And when I see people making claims that are not what is actually happening, when you read the stories, they are claims far beyond the reaches of what is actually happening. Especially if you're a social media creator, you're being really irresponsible. Stop that. Please wait and see how the story shakes out. With any of these legal court cases, it's never like a totally done deal, y'all. There are really, really smart attorneys. Norm Eisen, Mark Elias, the ACLU, CASA in this case. There are really smart folks that are ready to go with alternate lawsuits. They're ready to pursue other avenues. Trump doesn't have all the smart people, y'all. He doesn't have all of the capable people, and we've got nobody. Stop giving him power that he doesn't have, and stop discounting the power and the adaptability that we do have. Please wait and see how a story shakes out before you freak the fuck out. It does not do you any good. It does not add a single hour to your day. It does not help you fight harder for immigrants and democracy in this country, for vulnerable groups, for you to panic over a news story that is breaking headlines. That is the whole point of Trump's shock and awe campaign, is to flood the zone, right? They want it to be like trying to drink out of a fire hose instead of a straw. They want to drown you with despair. They want you to feel that they are going to wash over you and this entire country, and there's nothing you can do about it. And that is not true. Please understand, if they can make you give up in advance, they don't have to expend nearly as many resources trying to cement themselves. It's easy work for them to use psychological tactics on you to get you to give up in advance. It is far much more work, and they will not succeed if you refuse to buy into their propaganda and you stand up and you fight for democracy. Attorneys from CASA, from the ACLU, they weren't ready to fucking fold. They weren't going to let that fire hose drown them. They were like, no, we're ready to go. Well, bam, here's another lawsuit. We're going to form a class. There's an avenue for relief here. If we form a class and have a class action lawsuit, let's do it. And a Bush-appointed judge agreed with them. Judge Joseph LaPlante heard the case in Concord, New Hampshire, and said that, yes, any of these children whose citizenship status is going to be threatened by the implementation of Trump's executive order dismantling birthright citizenship, yes, those folks can form a class, they can sue, they can get an injunction. The judge said that's irreparable harm. Citizenship alone is the greatest privilege that exists in the world. He went on to say that, of course, it's not even a close call. There needed to be an injunction issued because children could be deprived of citizenship by Trump's order. So please, y'all, please, no news headline that you hear is the apocalypse happening. No news headline that you hear is the end. Don't let the phrase, well, it's all over, or I guess we're cooked. Don't let that enter into your brain. Could you imagine if these attorneys had been like, oh shit, Supreme Court says no, guess we're done. No, we need to be adaptive, tenacious. We need to refuse to give up. We need to refuse to lay down. We need to investigate all of the avenues that are available to defend our democracy and our rights. We have to be tenacious, y'all. We have to have an uncompromising position of, I refuse to fold. I refuse to bend the knee. I refuse to let the psychological manipulation of the Trump regime work on me. I'm stronger than that. I'm better than that. I'm more creative. I'm more adaptive. I'm more tenacious than that. I refuse to be the kind of person that folds like a chair when I see a negative piece of news. Too many people's lives, our children's future, the future of our democracy, the future of this planet relies on us not folding every time we get bad news. It relies on us not catastrophizing. It relies on us refusing to accept no for an answer. I honestly think a mindset that I've had in my parenting has helped me a lot, which is, how can I turn my no into a yes? I like to apply that kind of thinking now. If I refuse to accept their no, how do I turn this into a yes for us? How do I turn this into something that we can use? What other avenues are open? How do I take this as an opportunity to not let the kakistocracy, the most incompetent and ill-equipped people in this country, work their psychological tactics on me? take courage from and follow the example of attorneys like this, because now, once again, we have a nationwide injunction protecting birthright citizenship.